Hey everyone, it's MK. Welcome back to MK Quilts and this week's installment of Tip of the Week. So, if you are watching this video in the week that I'm recording it, it is the middle of April 2019, and Handy Quilter has just come out with a huge update to their Pro Stitcher system. The Pro Stitcher system has been in beta testing for about the last month or so, but it's a full-on new release from Handy Quilter. So what I wanted to do today is just talk to you a little bit about this release. There's been a lot of chatter about it. There's been plenty of us who have been beta testing it, but there's also been plenty of you, I'm sure, that have been waiting because you didn't want to do the beta. So I'm going to turn the camera around. I'm going to show you just a couple of things here at the machine that you'll want to think about when you go to update, and then I'm going to go ahead and do some things within simulation so that you can see it up close and personal. All right, let me turn the camera around and talk to you about Opti-Stitch. All right, so here we are at my tablet on my Infinity. First thing I want to show you about updates in general, if you don't even know which update you're on, you want to go ahead and pull up your Pro Stitcher. You're going to look up into the right-hand corner. Now, because my tablet has been updated during the beta testing process, I have a little letter I up here, I for information. If you have not updated in a while, yours is going to look like a little question mark. Okay, so what you do is just go ahead and tap on that. Come over onto the left-hand side. There's an About button. Just go ahead and click on About, and you will see what your current version of Pro Stitcher is. Now, I have already updated my Infinity's tablet to the new release. So 500 series with Handy Quilter now means that this is a version of Pro Stitcher that has the Opti-Stitch technology included. Later in the video, I'm going to show you on Handy Quilter's website a place where you can go to read a blog post that they did about the Opti-Stitch, a little bit about what it is and how it's working with your machine. But let's just move on, and I want to show you one thing that you might want to do before you update. So this is for the group of people that have been working with the beta version. Under your gear up here in the top right hand side, and then over here under Opti-Stitch, you may have already chosen to customize some of your acceleration settings and your speed settings. If you have done that, what you want to do is come on over to this screen and snap a picture of what your settings currently are. Because once you update, they may or may not hold those settings, and you're going to forget what they were. So come on over to this screen and take a picture. If you are just updating from the last version of Pro Stitcher before beta, that would have been 466. If you're jumping from 466 up to the 500 series, you have not had this option at all. So this is going to be all new for you. You're going to want to go ahead and read that blog post. But let's move on, and just let me show you over here. Go ahead and click on your File tab. Right here is the Update button. Now, I know I talked about this in a previous video. It might have even been a previous tip of the week. But you can update your system right here from within your your File tab there on Pro Stitcher. Now, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video right here because it's much easier for me to show you these steps in simulation using my computer. But this is where the tab is. All right, let me take you inside a simulation. We'll talk about this a little bit further, and then I'll meet you right back here at the machine to finish up.
All right, so I thought I would actually start this video on the Handy Quilter website, and let's just talk about the download of the update itself. Handy Quilter's done this latest release in a little bit different fashion than they have before, and it's kind of throwing people a little bit. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over to Resources. We're going to come down to Machine Software Updates. We're going to go all the way over to Pro Stitcher and click here to be taken to a separate website that's all for Pro Stitcher. We're going to come down here, and the first thing that you want to do, you guys, really with all updates is to read through some of the release notes so that you know what they've been working on. If there was any fixes, they will usually mention in here that this, that, or the other thing was fixed or updated, or any problem was corrected. So come on down to the release notes and make sure that you're keeping abreast of what's going on. The next thing I want you to know is they do have a feedback link here. If you do experience anything, problems, questions, things just aren't working the way that you think that they should, you can go ahead and leave feedback for Handy Quilter. All right, we're going to scroll down a little bit further, and we're going to see the Download Pro Stitcher Premium version 501. Going to go ahead and click on that. And what you're going to see is it's going to take you over to Dropbox. Okay, that is the step that is different. Now, first, before we continue, I want to answer a question that I get all the time. And the question is, if I haven't updated in a while, do I have to go back and do all of those previous updates that I missed? I'm going to pretty much say across the board that no, you do not. Okay, what you should do if you haven't updated in a while is definitely go through this pre-install step. Now, I've said it before, I am not the computer genius in the family. All of this is more Mr. MK's realm. But you're going to want to do these steps if you haven't done this in a while, because what the pre-install does is some updates for your computer itself, okay? Now, that is very important for your tablet. Now, I'm on my laptop, but as it relates to your Pro Stitcher tablet, that tablet never goes on the internet. So it never gets some of the updates that are needed to basically keep the tablet functioning, to be able to keep the tablet talking to your Pro Stitcher. You know, they've done a whole bunch of improvements on Pro Stitcher. So there's just things that need to be done to your tablet to keep up with things. Okay, so that's why you're going to want to do the pre-install. Now, for the most part, once you do this pre-install, unless they have again a big jump in something that they're developing or whatnot, you're not going to need to do the pre-install every single time from here on out. There probably will be another pre-install that you will have to do at some later date, but for now, just do this one. Okay, let's talk about the download process itself. The first thing is, don't try to click on these files over here. You're just going to get yourself a little mixed up and a little bit in a mess. All you really need to do is come over here to the right hand side once this screen is open and click the drop down and just click on direct download. Basically what that's going to do is put these two executable files into your downloads directory on your laptop, okay? And you're just going to give it a few minutes until this little circle makes it all the way around. As this is finishing up here, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a heads up. I'm recording this tip of the week today from the airport in Detroit. So if you hear some things in the background, it's just airport noise and I can't really control it, but I need to get this done. So I'm using my time here in the airport to get some work done for y'all. Okay, so here we go. It's finishing up. The blue ring is almost all the way around. Once it's done, just click on that arrow, and I usually go to Show in Folder. Okay, so there is the update. Now you're going to see right beneath it, I have another copy. Again, I've already done this step, but I'm walking you through it today so that you can see exactly how I did it. Okay, so first thing, go ahead and double click on that folder to open up. Now you see you have two executable files in here. First thing you want to do is do an extract all. I usually let it just point itself right at the same folder that it just opened up in. Now you can go ahead and change that if you want, but for right now, let's just let it open up into the exact same folder where it downloaded to. Okay, so we're just going to hit extract. Now, the next thing that I usually do, because I like to keep all of the updates in sequential order, is I go ahead and take a copy of this. So I just highlighted both of them. I'm going to do a right click and copy. And on my computer, I have it over here in a subdirectory called HQ Updates. So I'm going to open up that folder. I'm going to right click and I'm going to paste. And again, it's giving me this notice because I've already done this step. If you have not done this step, you won't get this box, okay? All right, so there we go. Now I have the most current update on my laptop's hard drive so that if I ever want to roll back to a different version, I've always got them, okay? All right, next thing I'm going to do is just click on this date modified. That will put the two most current downloads that I just did at the top of the list. I can see them right here. I can now go ahead and grab them. So I'm going to select them one at a time. And I'm going to copy them to my flash drive so that I can walk that over to my tablet. Okay, so I have a flash drive in my computer. Let me just scroll down so you can see it. There it is. It's my Infinity flash drive. I'm just going to click on there. I'm going to right click and go ahead and hit paste. Again, I've already done that, so we'll just go ahead and hit on replace. Okay, so now at this point when this finishes up copying, I should have a copy in my downloads directory. I've made a copy and moved it over into a safe storage space on my personal computer, and I have put a copy onto my flash drive so that I can go ahead and walk that over to my tablet. Okay, so that is the download process, you guys. The next thing I'm doing here is I'm just opening up my simulator on my laptop. So it just kind of stands to reason that you've just been at your laptop doing this download. Probably makes sense to just go ahead and update your simulator while you're sitting here on your laptop. Okay, so I've opened up my sim. Again, I've already done this step, but let's just walk through the process here at the simulator. We're going to open up the program. We're going to click on update. Now, remember, I just told you that I have this update in several places on my computer at this point. I still have my flash drive in my laptop. Okay, once I open that E drive, here right at the root level of my flash drive are the two files that I just copied on here. Now, of course, I have all of these other folders and designs and quilts that I've stitched and classes that I teach. I've got a lot of other stuff on this flash drive, and you might as well. But I just used the root level of the E drive, put those files right there. Now all I have to do is run one or both of these files. Let's go ahead and do the pre-install just to show you how that works. I'm just going to go ahead and hit run. Welcome to ProStitcher. It'll go through all of these steps. It's trying to copy some files. If it's outdated, it's trying to copy new ones to your computer. And if you've already done this step recently, you're probably going to get this little box that says it's already installed. That's wonderful, and it's already installed. You're good to go. Okay, if you don't get that little box, it just means, again, that your computer needed some updates. It did it. Eventually, you'll get to this little box right here, and you're done. Okay, all right, back to the ProStitcher. I'm going to launch it one more time. If it closed down, I'm just going to launch it one more time. Again, I'm going to go to the Update button, point myself at my E drive, and here's the 501 update, and we're just going to run. Okay, it's going to take a look at the version you've already got. Again, you guys, I've already done that. But if you had an old version of ProStitcher, your old version would be right there. Here's the 501, and you just hit start, hit confirm, let it go and do all of its little work, copying those files, and you're good to go. Now remember, the actual designs from your ProStitcher do not get copied over with this step. That's why I did the whole lengthy tip of the week last week to show you how to copy those files. Okay, that's a whole completely different step. When this is finished, just hit close and your ProStitcher should boot up right here on your laptop. Just to make sure that everything went okay, you're going to come over here under the I over to About, and you should see that you're on 501. Okay, now back to those Opti-Stitch settings. On your simulator, the Opti-Stitch is not really as critical to make changes because you're not really stitching anything ever with your simulator. So it's basically okay to leave your Opti-Stitch on the default settings when you're in simulation. If you want, you can go ahead and customize them. But what I want to show you right here at my laptop is when I hit on Customize, do you see how the speed column is way down at the bottom? Now, this exact same thing might happen at your tablet. And that's why I said snap a picture of whatever your settings were before you go through this whole process so that you can come back over to the gear, to the Opti-Stitch button, and come back over here and get these to whatever your settings were previously, okay? I had a machine in my own studio that when it updated, the speed was way down here at the bottom, and we thought that there was a problem with the machine because it wasn't reacting correctly after we updated it. It was just a real quick little fix, hop over to the Opti-Stitch settings, drag that slide bar back up into an appropriate range, and then move on. Okay, what I'm going to do right now is really quickly give you my best tips and advice on working with Opti-Stitch as it relates to different types of patterns. What I'm about to tell you is just my own personal opinion, and it's based on patterns that I have. You're going to have to do a little bit of experimenting in your own studio, but let's just talk about Opti-Stitch as it relates to some of the patterns that you might be stitching. All right, I'm starting the final part of this video in my quilt pattern indexer for a reason. Again, if you're watching this video in the middle of April 2019, the QPI product is currently on sale to the end of the month. So I wanted to mention that. Just head on over to quiltpatternindexer.com and read about all the information on Quilt Pattern Indexer. I'm just going to pause my speaking for a second, drop the coupon code right here. And again, you can use that coupon code only until the end of April 2019 to get a discount on the QPI product. But let's talk about a couple of patterns and as that relates to Opti-Stitch. I'm going to search for a pattern that I've had a long time. I love it a lot. Oh, and look at that. I have duplicates, which I have to fix that. But let's move on. Tickle. This tickle pattern is one from Willow Leaf Studio that I use a lot. I love it. It's a nice, big, loose kind of a feather, and it stitches out really, really easily because it's got just big, nice, open curves. Okay, I'm going to hit right click. I'm going to copy the file and I'm going to copy it over to my Infinity flash drive stick. Again, that stick is still in my computer, and I'm just going to hit save. The next one we're going to look at is one called Flurries. Now this Flurries pattern, again, I've got duplicates. I guess you can see I've got a little work to do with my QPI, don't I? The Flurries, although I love, love, love this pattern, it's got a lot of these spiky, pointy change in direction type areas in the pattern. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that one over to our Infinity stick. Okay, back over to Pro Stitcher. Now, what I wanted to mention about Opti-Stitch with these two patterns is that when you're stitching something like a pattern like the tickle pattern, in your Opti-Stitch settings, it's quite likely that you're going to be able to ramp up your acceleration, ramp up your speed, maybe even just let it go to its default settings, which is, you know, max speed and pretty much middle of the road acceleration. On a pattern like this, that's probably going to be fine. Your machine is probably going to react quite normally. On the other hand, on a pattern like Flurries, you may have to go under the gear over to Opti-Stitch, and you may have to click on Customize and drop both of these down just a little bit until you see how your machine reacts through the different change in directions. Okay, so you guys, the whole thing with the Opti-Stitch, it's such a beautiful piece of technology that we have now. that allows you to customize these settings for your specific situation, your specific machine, your specific pattern, whatever you are working on. Don't be afraid to play with this a little bit, to experiment a little bit. It's going to be different for all of us because we have different machines, we have different patterns, okay? But the point is, don't be afraid of it. Use it, experiment with it, and just watch the beauty of your machine, how much better it reacts with the new Opti-Stitch technology. Okay, you guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope that this has all been helpful. I hope that you will just take a deep breath, update now that we have this full-on release of Pro Stitcher, and you are gonna love it.
All right, so there you have it. I know for some of you who don't update very frequently, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking process. You might have a little anxiety. You might be a little bit worried about doing that. But it's really not that difficult, you guys. And actually, Handy Quilter has made it simpler. In days gone by, we used to have to go through that whole licensing step, right? Where we had to go back and forth between the machine and your computer to get yourself updated on your simulator. You no longer have to do any of that. Last week, I went through a whole video with my tip of the week on how to get your designs over to your laptop. So between this week's update, last week's tip of the week, where you learned how to get your designs over, you should be all set to go here at your tablet and at your simulator on your laptop. Always, always, always remember, you guys, if anything is going wrong, try to grab your phone right when it's happening, take a picture, take a little bit of video. That's very helpful for those of us like me, Mr. MK, Tech Solutions out at Handy Quilter. It's very helpful that we can see what you're dealing with. But the point of it is to document. If there's anything going on, document what's happening. The other thing to always remember is that you can always roll back. Now, if you don't have previous versions of the Pro Stitcher, usually Handy Quilter will keep one previous version of the software on their website. But here's a hint. If they don't have it and you don't have it, you can always call MK, because I've got a bunch of them, as we talked about last week. I've always got the previous versions. So you can always roll back if you're having a problem. You guys, this Opti-Stitch is amazing. As I mentioned, now for the past several weeks, I have been working with it, and it is amazing. They have put a lot of work into this. Now, my last statement is to those of you who are still running standard. It's time, you guys. The functionality that you are now going to find with Premium, especially with Opti-Stitch, it's time to leave standard in the dust. Just saying. All right, you guys, thank you so much for following. Thanks for all of your business. If you have any questions, you can reach out. And of course, remember that Mr. MK has that tech service available on our website. If you still just don't feel comfortable with doing this on your own, we can always help you through the process. All right, until next time, from my studio to yours, happy quilting. Bye-bye.